It's a backpack show, and it's a show that's backpack show. Show that's backpack. It's a backpack show. Hello, Carrie.
Surprise!
We did a backpack show. We kind of weren't, but we did.
I'm traveling and I'm in an Airbnb, so I just didn't set up the stream because I wasn't sure any of it would work. So
It'll work. We'll come up with some things. We'll have
yeah.
some topics.
Well, so it's a really old house, and it's so like the electric's all janky and stuff.
We'll just get
It's
pulled
yeah,
offline at one random point.
maybe,
Wait,
maybe.
is that a ghost behind you?
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack show. Every time I yell boom
Happy
shakalaka.
New Year!
Happy New Year to you. How's it all going? How was your holiday? Have I not talked to you since the holiday? How was the
Uh,
holiday?
Amazing. Thank you very much for asking. No, I kept it pretty quiet because I was traveling the day of New Year's, so I was like, "Yeah, I don't care about midnight. I'm gonna." Hi, Chloe. I was like, "I have to go to bed like a responsible adult."
What's that like being a responsible adult? Let's make that the episode today.
I'll let you know when I find out. I forgot my winter coat, so I can't exactly say that I nailed it on that one. Flying to a cold location without a winter coat. Hi, Leslie. So you've done the 3 words thing, like, before New Year's Day because you did it for owner, and then I feel like you changed them all at the last minute, right? But before the owner thing? So we haven't even really talked about them here. I don't know if you wanna.
Oh, and I definitely want to rehear yours. One problem that happens this time of year, which is a great problem, it's a wonderful problem, is that everybody shares with me their 3 words. And I'm like, wow, I get to hear all these variations and they're so good. But then I forget everybody's 3 words because like they just kind of roll through my soul. So, and you're important. So I want to remember yours. But I'll give you my first. So my first one is master, as kind of be the master of my domain, master all my choices. Um, I had read this thing that said that people want 3 things in this order, basically at work. They want autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So they want the autonomy to do the things that they want to be able to get done. They want to master the things that they do, and they want purpose to guide their efforts through and all that sort of a thing. So autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So my first word was master, and that was that. My second word for this 3 words is pleasure, and it was because I want to seek more pleasure. And when I say that, like I want to, spend the extra day when I travel. I want to, enjoy a nice meal instead of just eat to get my belly full. I want to, find the good parts of things and all that sort of a thing. My third word is because I realized I had 2 like look inside myself kind of words. I didn't really have any outside people words. So my third word is gather. And the reason gather is my third word is because I want to be able to gather smart minds around me. I had a few calls right near the end of the year that really reminded me that there's just such a difference between talking with friends and talking with friends that you think are, in your direction and all that kind of a thing, or like can really add some energy. So Clay Abear, for instance, is this guy in my life that he, every time I talk to him, makes me go, ooh, I feel so smart now, or I feel better now. And it's partly how he makes me feel, and it's partly just because he's so freaking smart. And so I wanted to gather people around. So that's mine. Carrie O'Shea Gorgon, what are your 3 words for 2023?
So first we have a couple comments. Let me take a look. Susan said, "I sometimes forget my own 3 words." Hey, Suze. I keep them as wallpaper on my laptop and on my phone so that I don't forget. Leslie says, "Was watching the Twilight Zone marathon and dozed off, but woke up at 11:51, in bed by 12:02." That's like how I normally roll, Leslie, but this time around I couldn't even make that happen. Hey, Dean. Jane says, "Good morning, kids." Hello, fellow kids. And Elizabeth says, "Buenos dias." She just got Nancy Harhut's book because we did the book giveaway the last time. And everybody requested, well, that's not true. One person was like, "Send me whatever." So they're getting The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro, but Elizabeth wanted Nancy Harhut's book, so she got that one. Yay, hey Annette. The extra day when you travel, so insightful and inspiring when you open the possibility. And Elizabeth says her 3 words are gratitude, strength, and purpose. You should tell her feedback on those before I tell you mine.
Yeah, while you're working on yours, gratitude, strength, and purpose. So I think gratitude's a really powerful one. Gratitude, it turns out, is a secret trick to finishing up with depression a little bit faster. Like if you're feeling kind of down in the dumps depression, not chemical depression, gratitude is one of those words that really, really, really moves us to get outside of our belly button. Basically, I always talk about like when you're thinking and being introspective, you're like poking at your own belly button. But gratitude, you could be grateful every single day. And the worst day of your life, you could be grateful, like, oh, at least he punched me instead of kicked me or whatever. Like I always think of Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Like he was in a concentration camp writing about how he could smile and they couldn't take his smile. And now I was like, they feel like they could. And, it was a rough situation. So I think those are 3 really good words. I think strength is great. Strength is one of those words that I always try to look for a different word to do. It's just like the word focus. I always poop on the word focus. It's because strength is kind of it's not a cue for me as well as some other words could be. That could be a great cue word for Elizabeth. She might be like, yeah, that's super. I want to strength is important to me. But yeah. So I don't know. It's just one of those words that sometimes doesn't click as well for me. Purpose is, again, it was that thing I was just saying, that autonomy, mastery, purpose. It's a good word. I always ask the question, so like, are these going to be a question? Like if the question is, hey Elizabeth, this guy wants you to come work with him, do those 3 words make you make the choice, or do some number of those 3 words make you make the choice to come work for this person or not? And that's the thing. So Kerry, we're going to go into your 3 words.
But Jane has words: Midas, measure, and ease.
Oh, I like all 3 of those. I think measure, especially in this world, Jane's a PR professional with a really great amount of experience in PR space. And that world's changed a lot. They really require the mechanics of PR now a lot more than they just require, like, mentions or something. So measure is going to be important. Ease is great because it pushes towards, making us head towards, how am I going to approach things with ease, like with grace or something. So I think it's a really great word. And Midas, of course, that's how can you say anything bad about that? So ready for yours?
Yes. So let's see. So I picked them pretty quickly. It's not like I just sit down and make it up, right? But they emerge kind of like I'll be thinking about what I want to have happen in the next year that's different from what happened in the last year. And one of the things I was noticing was that I have, a team of people who work with me, and I get asked a lot to edit people's things, whether they work for me or not. Like it's just a question of helping them find their voice or write something a little bit better, a little more personable, a little warmer, stuff like that. And I'm happy to do that. But then I thought, we really need people who can adopt this kind of voice for themselves. So I thought about craft, as in like crafting the writers we need, which sounds almost weird, a little Pygmalion or something. It's not. I just mean instead of just doing for everyone, I'll find ways to help shape their writing that they don't need me anymore, which is kind of the goal. So that's craft, like to craft the writers that we need to get things done. The second one was lift, and that's because, a lot of admittedly sad and bad things happen to people. I've had a crap few years in some ways, but like a great year in other ways, few years in other ways. And I have a lot of close people to me that are having a difficult time. And so I find sometimes it's easy to get sucked down, and I don't want to do that. Like I really need to keep my vibration, my energy up. And so I'm thinking lift so that, every time I think about making an observation or a comment, I'll think about, is this going to make me more happy or less happy? Is this going to bring my energy up, or is it going to bring it down? And if it's going to bring it down, I will say, stop. Let's not do that thing, because that's not going to lift me up. And my third is dream, because I feel like sometimes we feel as though it's unproductive to sit and wool gather. And I found the opposite to be true. So whether I'm actively consuming content to help me feel inspired or to kind of refresh my wellspring from last year was wellspring, I find that if I can just let my mind wander a little bit, I can reclaim some space, some energy, and out of that comes greater focus and more ideas. And new ideas are always good. So those are mine: craft, lift, and dream. Which my kids made fun of me for because craft is like Minecraft.
I think those are great 3 words. I think those are really powerful 3 words. I like all three for the reasons. I love your reasoning. I mean, it's kind of hard to hang out with me and not really put extra thought into it because I'm gonna pick at them and be like and look at every little bite of them. But I really like dream a lot. That's something. I mean, there's days when I want 6 words, and I would love dream as a word. So I think that's good. A couple more comments rolling, I guess.
So apparently Dream is a big Minecraft streamer. So that's why my kids made fun of me for Dream. I made fun of for 2 of the 3. So Annette has care, dare, and navigate. So I don't know. I think she probably got her feedback though with the owner thing. So I don't want to like pile on. Sue said optimize, prioritize, and realize. I like that. I like they're all verbs.
Big fan of verbs.
Vladimir says focus, persistence, and patience.
That's because Vladimir hasn't attended any of my 3 words episodes or visuals or anything. I always poop on the word focus. And the reason is that focus is the word before the word a lot of times. Focus on what? Focus is, one of those words that is sort of like when people say breathe. Now, breathe is a great word if it's a reminder to pause. When someone says breathe, what they kind of mean is pause. When they say breathe, they kind of mean, take a moment here and get to where you're supposed to go. But if I had 10 euro for every time someone said focus, I would have at least 1,000 euro every single my 3 words. So I'm not a focus guy, but just so you know. So what else? We have other comments too.
So Deb says, I'm doubling down on gratitude and peace. The last half of 2022 is very difficult, and I need those 2 words to carry me over the 2023 threshold. Haven't come up with my 3rd word just yet. Well, how about that? How about years where you started with 2 of 3? Has that ever happened?
Not for me because, I feel a lot of pressure to put the 3 words out there. Sometimes I'm not as solid on one of my 3 words, and it does, I stumble a little bit on those particular years. But I can say that repeating words has never worked for me ever. So I'll just say, you go. I find that when people repeat the 3 words, the 2 words tend to fall right into thanks, Vladimir. I think that when you repeat your 2 words, they fall out of your brain because it's so hard to keep stuff into your brain that long. And I think those are dangerous. So that's how I feel about that. But you can pick up a word. I mean, the only thing is, if you haven't come up with it yet, is it because you haven't spent the time and sat down for 10 minutes? Because it doesn't take a long time to think about some words. Or are you just really stuck and locked in not being able to find the word? And if that's true, my friend Ye Old Paper Journal tends to be the break looser of those sorts of things, because you just put a whole bunch of words and look at them for a while and say, what does this one make me think? Oh my gosh, lots of comments.
Annette likes my words. Thanks. Envisioning for you and your peeps. So that's the value in the 3 words for me. Annette, is thinking about what kind of life do I want to be living in the next year? I mean, that's a big question, right? It's like my life overall. But in the next year, what do I want to be different than I currently have? And that's what I focus on. And these will help me. Every decision I make, every edit request I get, every red line or purple line, I use a purple pen for editing. Every red line or purple line I make on a document now, I'll be thinking, well, how can I make sure that this carries through, that the next time they know, hey, it will sound a lot more personable if I restructure my sentences this way or something. So I'm thinking about it all the time. And lift is going to be like a probably 500 time a day thing. It already has been. And then dream is just kind of allowing myself the time. So part of it's the vision and part of it's the desire. Carol's are flow, freedom, and pace. I thought that was pace for a second. I thought she went hippie.
Pace on earth and goodwill to men. No, flow, freedom, and pace are great. I think those are really wonderful words. Flow always makes me think of that great book by Csikszentmihalyi, which is one of those books that everyone puts on you, and you finally read it after 35,000 people tell you to, and you're like, oh, I get it. And working in a state of flow is really important. But I almost had a word that was like flow, but it was a created word for mine. I had this word love plus. Last year I had used pluses. So Deb, here's how I cheated. I changed the word a little. Seek out the pluses in my day, like a verb action of going after them. So I think flow is a great word. So hey, and it looks like I'm going to be richer soon.
Getting that paper. And Carol says, I look beautiful. So thank you so much. I want to look like my well rested younger sister. And she says, hey to everybody. So, hey to everybody. You mentioned journaling really quickly. So, how do you go back and revisit your journals? Like they're not searchable like electronic stuff unless you scan them, I guess. So, how do you go back and use the journal to help you through the year? See if you're sticking to those 3 words and stuff.
So you can, I mean, the one thing with the paper journal is I can go back and just sort of look through a day and see what that's looking like and go, a week at a time even, and say, how did I go? And like, as I look at the notes I wrote down, I might be like, let me see. So I looked through my journal for yesterday, and it says I went out and I got some eggs, and I love it. And I woke up so early. I went to the gym yesterday. I did all of my little checkbox stuff on the left, which felt like pleasure to me because I had done it and mastered, because I did all of the things. So even just yesterday's journal, where I went out and got a chance to have some rustic Benedict or something, was a really great use of my time. I was so in my bliss. The day before, I deleted Twitter off of all of my phones and was talking through the fact that I feel addicted. But again, it was a piece of mastery. So I can look at my actions against my words. So just very aligned to that. So you could do the same.
I haven't because I could. I've always been like a digital note taker and not much of a journaler. I used to write my diary to my mom because she always would read it when I was a kid growing up. So I wouldn't even bother really hardly hiding it because I knew she was going to find it and read it. So I know this is a totally different thing, but I'm still pretty guarded about my thoughts about certain things. So I guess there's value in revisiting my own thoughts, and how you write them doesn't need to be the way you would have to write them so my mom could read it. Like, do you write whole sentences? Do you write phrases? How do you actually mechanically do it?
Oh, I mean, I write sentences for the most part for things that require sentences. Like, I can only control me, take that energy back in. They can all tell their stories, but it's your story. So that's a paragraph out of my journal, and it was to remind me that if someone's feeling something about me, I can't really control how somebody feels about me. They have to kind of have their version of whatever they're feeling, and so I spend a lot of empathy time and sorrow time kind of needlessly, because it doesn't change anything, it doesn't make anything better, and it just mostly makes me feel worse. So I only know that because I went and I was able to read that back, so it's kind of tricky. Hey, it's Lisa Durrell. I was going to say it's a LinkedIn user.
Hi, Lisa. So I was going to give you a book, but I need your address. And Virginia is not good enough. So you'll have to message me back with your address so I can send you a book. Um, Lisa says she journals almost daily, has a large pile of them, helps her cement emotions and new ideas. Evernote did not work half as well. That's interesting observation. And Carol went back, I'm going back to Carol's words, but flow is part of it, but not all of it. Creating the circumstances for the things I want to flow easily to me, for sure. Opportunity can't come knocking if you bar the door. Well, I guess it could knock, I just can't commit. Carol says, generated an image to go with each of my words using Dolly. I did not. And actually going to print them on a canvas and hang them where I see them every day. That's actually a great idea because then, you keep them kind of firmly in mind. And Lisa says, how the heck can I show up as myself? So you have to authorize it. There's like a link. I'll go find the link for you, but it's just like, I forget. I want to say it's like streamyard.com/whatever you're in, like LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. And you just have to authorize it to display your stuff, but I'll look for it.
Yeah, because I definitely want to know that it's Lisa when it's Lisa. I guess everyone's reacting. They really love Carol's idea. Yeah, I mean, while we're kind of crossing two things at the same time and talking about journaling, I mean, different days I do different things. So, like for instance, something will just float through my head and I'll put it in there. Like I was at the Barking Dog, which is a little restaurant near my house, and I wrote whatever the music station is, it's kind of set to songs you guiltily sing yourself loudly. Like there's always those songs that like if you're in the car and no one's with you, you just belt it right out. And like that doesn't help anybody. Like there's no reason for that. But one of the reasons I put it there is I was just sort of tweeting it kind of in my head without putting it into tweet. And then down lower, it says lots of chat GPT study and play today. And when I wrote and play, this is before the turn of the year, I was thinking to myself, oh, well, that's kind of neat because, I don't have to like play as part of pleasure. So I was like, I think that pleasure word's going to work out is what I went back and thought.
I can't find it, Lisa. You're on your own. But there's a way to do it. I'll look for it later, but probably within LinkedIn itself, so you can and authorize it, and it will show your smiling face. But good to know it's you. So Annette says sketch journaling has brought unexpected magic and interesting now and new and professional opportunities. Yeah, I wish I could draw. I can't draw for crap. Like I used to be able to draw a little, but my sister is such a great artistic talent. I never much wanted to be compared with her. So I just went to the written word, and that's worked out pretty okay for me. Sue says, like Taylor Swift songs for me. Shake it off. Vladimir has a question for Chris. Let me know when you have one for me. If you make a list of your core values, do the annual 3 words necessarily derive directly from those? Or can you take the ones that are in contrast with the values? Oh, like fill in the gaps, maybe?
I don't think I ever make a list of my core values because I would like to think that my core values stay the same, in general. And one of the weird things that people forget about core values or values in general are that even the evil people of the world have values, right? You know, I'm not saying this lightly, and please don't cancel culture me. Hitler had values, right? They just, he just applied them in a way that other people would rather he had not. And again, I'm not saying that to be flippant. It's utterly true. So that said, the I don't. My 3 words are sort of my guideposts for the year, and I think values are also guideposts. So I would imagine they kind of have to be in alignment. But Vladimir, one thing I use them for is I use them for if a challenge comes in front of me. Let's say, for example, so I have a job, I work at a company, I'm very happy at my company. Someone says, hey, Chris, I want to pay you to do 3 different speeches over 3 different months, and you can come fly to all those places. It's going to be great. I would have to say, well, does this improve my mastery? Will I find pleasure in those trips? Maybe, because if they're places I want to travel. Now, the third one, would it help me gather smart minds around me? Yes. So now I'm thinking about it, right? So that's how the 3 words kind of work for me. Kerry.
So yeah, I guess it's similar. If you can't apply them to individual decisions you need to make, then you pick the wrong 3 words, I guess. And values is a whole other thing. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever sat down and been like, what are my core values? Like I mean, I live by them. I know what they look like. I know they're different from other people's because I look at what other people do and think, nope, that's not me. But I don't necessarily have like a manifesto or anything that I live by. It's all very gut driven. So there's a huge conversation happening in the comments about Taylor Swift and people's love for her. But look, Jonathan said, hey, happy 2023, Jonathan. So where is how is it going so far, I guess? So you start with 3 words and learn pretty quickly if they're doing the job or not. You don't switch. I know you've said that when you have, it doesn't work out. So how fast do you know if I screwed up or, yeah, this is great. This is going to be a great year?
It's a good question. But I knew he was a killer. First time that I saw him, wonder how many girls he had left in something haunted. I don't know. But if he's a ghost, then I could be a phantom. Yeah, I know some Taylor Swift. It's embarrassing, really. But I sing Are You Ready for It a lot. So how how do I know that the 3 words are the right words? I mean, if they fail, I could feel that pretty early, but I put so much thought into them the last couple of 3 weeks of the year that I almost never hit a bump. I can say that if you do hit a bump, I mean, remember, this is my practice I came up with. So I'm obviously a lot more married to it than other people. I get that. But I treat it sort of like part of my religion. But if you're, kind of if you leave them and you come back and you whatever and you're a little more casual about it, then if you have a clunker, I mean, to me, it's the ask questions question. It's can you run a bunch of systems or premises through this and it'll work? I don't know. How about you? How do you know if you have a clunker or not?
I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Let me think. I haven't had one. I haven't had one. I had a situation where I had a word that wasn't necessarily doing the best for me, but that's because I felt like I wasn't revisiting it often enough. So that doesn't make the word a clunker. That makes like my use of them not that good. And I do think there's a there's a temptation to be like, I did my 3 words, yay, the year's gonna go great, and to kind of let them go. So it took me a while and to put them into practice every day. I never I never blame the words. The problem isn't the words. The problem is either I wasn't clear about what I wanted or I wasn't diligent in putting it into practice. I guess those are my issues. Vladimir is here. The question for Kerry is much easier. When do we see each other again in Montenegro for Spark.me? And how do we persuade Chris to join us? So, fun fact, I feel like you were gonna go, right? Where you gotta go, and then the pandemic happened.
I didn't realize you were talking to me. Yeah. I was going to go and then the pandemic happened. And then I've just been really tied up with this whole corporate thing. And I would love to see that part of the world. I think it would be so super fun. And you really raved about it. I think didn't a couple other hooligans that we know go to that thing? I kind of forget.
So I went twice, and the first time was a while in the making because I'd never been to that part of the world before. And yeah, so I went and spoke the first year, and it was just amazing. I think that was the year like Mark Schaefer spoke, Matt Desmier, Dave Burst, who we had on later to talk about creativity. Trying to remember who else. Anyway, there were a bunch of really awesome people I met through it, and I had never heard them before because there was this mix of people in the business speaking circuit from Europe, and we're very entrenched here in the States actually, as much as we think we're global. So I got exposure to like a whole new group of really amazing people. So in that sense, I think it would be excellent for you for this year because of the words that you chose. I think you would find that valuable. And then I went back another year. This is how awesome they are. I wasn't speaking because they don't do repeat speakers. That's one thing they do that I think is so smart. New people. I mean, rarely, very rarely a repeat speaker, and it'll be about a new topic. But so I went back and they put me up at a hotel anyway, even though I wasn't speaking. Like I wasn't speaking, I was just coming to hang out. So I went and hung out with Jason Miller and Brian Fanzo and Jennifer, his significant other, who's lovely and amazing in her own right. And it was just great. It was like another great group of people. Some people came back. A lot of people come back for it when they're not speaking because the community is so vibrant and the energy is so good. So for me, even for this year, like Lyft would date that I would make the choice to go back for me.
Because you had such a good time. That makes perfect sense to me. That makes sense. Yeah, I remembered feeling even the smallest amount of envy when you were telling me about those trips. I was kind of like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I should really consider going there. And you really raved about the experience, the host, the whole thing. So, I think it's really a good opportunity to see the world. Like you said, we're so insular. We're so like, Americans are so American. And so it's great to have the opportunity to not be American. So.
That's so funny. I'm American everywhere I go, although I am Irish as well. So I have that I can fall back on, I guess, for really aggravate people. So Elizabeth says, love what you do, and then every day is play. They say that on Letterkenny. Love your work, and you'll never work a day in your life. And then Carol says, I almost picked a clunker, switched the 11th hour, just felt a resistance to it when I saw it and hoped it would pass. Chloe Forbes Kindlin helped me see the error of my ways. Elizabeth says Chloe is awesome. And you know what? I agree. Just rounding out the chorus, Chloe is in fact awesome.
Well, I'm gonna add sprinkles on it then because Chloe's really super awesome. Chloe designed chrisbrogan.com. I bet you might have seen that website once or twice in your life, but it is a fine feature website now. So I'm super into it. So, there's good people in the world and there's great people in the world, and there's all of you who come to the Backpack Show, which are the best people in the world. So we're very lucky.
One of these fine people is going to be our person of the day. And at this point, if we did it by vote, it would probably be Chloe, but we don't vote. So
We definitely don't vote. Person of the day. I didn't even realize 30 minutes passed. This was a great show.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Tim Kitzrow. What a voice. Let's give it to Vladaholic. I made fun of him and I told him I needed 10 euros, so I'll give it to Vlad. So, Vladimir, sorry. I don't know if you ever shorten it to Vlad. I hope you do, but you win.
in the comments, there's an insurrection. Chloe for person of the day. Chloe's one of my favorite people. I know Chloe's literally the best. And I actually don't know if it's Vlad or Vladimir, but yeah, put in a good word for us actually with Vladimir Vulic, and we'll be happy to come right back to Spark.me in Montenegro. So what about your grandmother? Did she do the 3 words thing? Did she journal?
Oh, journaling. That is a great question. My Grammy would talk to all her relatives and friends in French, in Canadian French, by the way. And so one of the funny parts of that detail was that she would say the most of the conversation in English sometimes, and then she'd bust out the French. But it was always like, "Oh, I'll tell you about that woman. She's a French fois," and I'd be like, all I know is that's the word to beat. And then one time she slipped and she got it the other way, and here she said,